Hello everybody and welcome back to the new VR news. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your one channel for everything VR related. Today, we're talking about Facebook killing innovation. Now that's not my words. That's a quote from the Federal Trade Commission in their lawsuit against Facebook. We're also going to be talking about TikTok's parent company ByteDance entering the VR arena. We have a lot of new VR games to go over and much more. There are links and timestamps in the description, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by Kiwi Design, your one-stop for all VR accessories. Are you looking for a Quest 2 Elite strap that won't suddenly snap on you, or a face pad that won't irritate your skin? Well, Kiwi has you covered. They carry a large array of accessories from cable management systems to replacement facial covers. There are links in the description, and don't forget to use my affiliate code to help support this channel. Okay, so let's start things off with some upcoming releases. This Wednesday on September 1st, VR is getting the new tower defense title, Iron Guard. If you're a fan of tower defense titles, now you'll get to experience one in 360-degree room scale. You can also take control of a drone and get in on the action. Iron Guard features multiple gameplay modes, it's playable in both VR and non-VR, and there are fully voice-acted cutscenes. If this sounds like something you're interested in and you want to check out more, there is a free demo available on Steam right now. While we're on the topic of free, Space Pirate Trainer is getting a huge new update for Oculus Quest owners. For years now, we've been getting teases of Space Pirate Arena, which was a version of Space Pirate Trainer featuring co-location and local PvP. We assumed it would be a whole new title, but that's not the case, and owners of Space Pirate Trainer are getting this for free. The only catch is it requires a play space of 30 feet by 30 feet. Not even the Mat Cave can handle that, so I don't know where I'm gonna go to test this title out. Speaking of titles we got to test out, well, at least half of it, Jurassic World Aftermath Part 2 is finally on the way. If you haven't played Jurassic World Aftermath, it's easily one of the best and most immersive Oculus Quest exclusives. Unfortunately though, at purchase, we weren't told we were only getting part of the game. We were left on a major cliffhanger and obviously wanting more. It's almost a year later, but finally on September 30th, we're getting a continuation to this title. So in the near future, expect to start playing cat and mouse with a Velociraptor, and let's hope Coatsink throws in some new surprises. Speaking of surprises, the 5-year-old Gear VR title Anshar Wars 2 is getting remade for the Oculus Quest. This was a third-person spaceship shoot-'em-up that used head tracking for locomotion. It later released on the Oculus Rift and featured cross-platform multiplayer. The new Quest version will allow you to navigate using a controller and will be releasing soon, but there's no official date yet. This does look like some nice casual fun, but I'm much more interested in the following releases. First up is Effectors, which is the Oculus Quest answer to PCVR's roguelite first-person shooter Compound. The game features a ton of different loot, including a large array of weapons, there's epic boss fights, and even online co-op. Don't let these simplistic-looking graphics fool you. Sometimes these games look absolutely amazing in VR. Effectors is currently listed as coming soon to Steam, SideQuest, and the Oculus Store. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this title. Another title that piqued my interest is Spacefolk City. I was a huge fan of SimCity growing up. You could spend countless hours designing your city, and now it looks like VR might get something similar. At first glance, it reminded me more of Theme Park Simulator, mainly due to the vibrant colors, but you will indeed be building a city in the clouds here, for a spacefaring civilization that has to leave their homeworld due to an upcoming supernova. So you have a cute little backstory for why you get to build this charming new world. This isn't personally the type of game I spend a lot of time on anymore, but I truly understand the appeal here, and I'm definitely interested for when this title releases. Okay, so we just have some quick hardware stories before we move on to the main event. The 128GB Oculus Quest model is now out in the wild. So if you're looking to get an Oculus Quest 2, make sure you're getting a 128GB model, and if you're buying online or used, just make sure you know the 64GB model is no longer worth $299. I've spoken many times before on how I thought the 64GB model was too small, so I was really happy to see Facebook make this change. Speaking of Facebook changes, Oculus Quest version 32 is on the way. With it comes 4 major updates. The first is a new People tab that combines both your Oculus and Facebook friends. The second is a change to how media is handled on your Oculus app, and any footage captured from inside the Oculus Quest will be automatically synced to your phone application, making it easier to share or download media. The Oculus Move application is also receiving some tweaks, making it easier to track your progress, and also by recommending more attainable goals to new users. If you're not familiar with Oculus Move, it's basically a fitness tracker built right into your Oculus Quest. And now you will finally be able to purchase a gift for your friend while you are temporary in the headset. It's a nice little update that I'm sure some people will use. Okay, so let's move into the first main story, which is ByteDance, the owners of TikTok, getting into VR by acquiring Pico. Pico is a Chinese-based VR standalone headset creator that currently has a competitor to the Oculus Quest. Now, we have frequently spoke about how Facebook desperately needs a standalone headset competitor, and this acquisition might actually make it happen here in the States. The Pico Neo 3 is a formidable opponent to the Oculus Quest 2, and we all know how popular TikTok is right now. Now, one main reason we wanted competition for Facebook was due to privacy concerns. But if you think we're going to get it from ByteDance, you are absolutely wrong. Data collection is a Chinese company's bread and butter. But due to close relationships between the Chinese government and local companies, there's a good chance that not only ByteDance would collect data on you, but also the Chinese government itself. I'm sure plenty of people don't care, just like they don't care about Facebook collecting their data, and I'm actually really excited for competition in the standalone VR market, but if you were looking for a savior to some of our privacy concerns, that's just not going to happen. That might, however, force Facebook to innovate, which is something the Federal Trade Commission said they haven't been able to do for quite some time. That's right, the FTC thinks Facebook kills innovation, and they're suing them for monopoly violations. Now, I actually originally planned a whole video on just this topic, but I just didn't get around to putting it out last week. So today I have an abbreviated version, which will quickly go over the lawsuit, but I focus more on what-if scenarios, like what if Facebook was never allowed to acquire companies like Oculus, and what if this lawsuit actually forces Facebook to break up companies? And of course, why we should even care about this lawsuit to begin with. Well, let's start things off with the accusations from Holly Vidova, the acting director from the FTC's Bureau of Competition. In her own words, Facebook lacked the business acumen and technical talent to survive the transition to mobile. After failing to compete with new innovators, Facebook illegally bought or buried them when their popularity became an existential threat. This conduct is no less anti-competitive than if Facebook had bribed emerging app competitors not to compete. The antitrust laws were enacted to prevent precisely this type of illegal activity by monopolists. Facebook's actions have suppressed innovation and product quality improvements, and they have degraded the social network experience, subjecting users to lower levels of privacy and data protections, and more intrusive ads. The FTC's action today seeks to put an end to illegal activity and restore competition for the benefit of Americans and honest businesses alike. Now, those are some heavy words. The FTC also put forth evidence which shows a history of Facebook weaponizing their API. They would freely allow developers access to their platform, and only after they had found success and were dependent on the platform would Facebook pull a bait and switch, forcing them to sign highly anti-competitive agreements. Now, this bait and switch sounds similar to what Oculus users experienced during Facebook's acquisition. At the time, we were promised a Facebook account would never be required, user information would not be tracked, and we would not be receiving ads. Now, these statements were made by Oculus's founder, Palmer Luckey, and you could make the argument that he didn't have the authority to speak on behalf of Facebook, but we can assume that Facebook did leave him with this impression. So what if Facebook had never been allowed to purchase Oculus? Where would we be right now? Well, for starters, we most likely wouldn't have a standalone VR headset for $299, and we could assume there would be a few million less VR users. The impact of VR games would be a bit harder to judge, but many VR developers would not have been able to survive without Facebook nearly quadrupling the player base over a year. At the same time, we see an overall shift in development that focuses on the Oculus Quest. VR titles once focused on deep immersion, and now they've become a bit more casual. Some people will argue that Facebook has ruined games, while others state the company is the savior of VR. The real question is, did Facebook hold back innovation? Now, outside of VR, as far as the FTC is concerned, yes, Facebook absolutely did hold back innovation. The FTC presents repeat evidence of how Facebook did not have the skill nor the knowledge of how to properly transition to mobile platforms, so instead they bought up competitors. When it comes to VR, Facebook was determined not to make that same mistake, but with little experience in game development, they started to help finance other studios. While this can definitely be seen as beneficial to VR, many applications quickly became exclusives in an already niche market, and this is an area where things become gray. This is an area where you could clearly see Facebook trying to monopolize, but it wouldn't be considered illegal. Prior to the Oculus Quest, any Oculus Rift exclusives were technically capable of running on other headsets. We have proof of this with the application Revive, but Facebook has been locking these games down to their specific VR hardware. Now, exclusive titles aren't new, and consoles do this all the time. It's a reason for you to buy one console over another. The difference with PC, though, is VR is a peripheral rather than an entire console. The computer hardware and underlying OS are the same. You wouldn't be able to get a PlayStation game to run on an Xbox by just updating some drivers. The hardware and OS are fundamentally different. While this direction from Facebook might not be the most consumer-friendly, it's not illegal, and it simply shows that they're more interested in growing their platform than for the good of all VR users. But this is capitalism, I get it. The quest and acquisition of multiple studios is a continuation of this strategy. So they would grow the ecosystem by making products more affordable, and in turn they would get control over the hardware, the operating system, and at this point now the developers. This ensures that new games will only be on the Oculus platform. So they're trying to monopolize the VR game industry, and that would definitely have an impact on the quality and potentially innovation of new VR games. So the main question is, what's going to happen with this lawsuit? Well, nothing right away. You could expect something of this magnitude to take years. And this lawsuit doesn't actually cover VR, it focuses primarily on the transition to mobile, and actually doesn't even reference VR. The target is more on applications like WhatsApp and Instagram, but honestly, after a lot of back and forth, I'm really only expecting some fines and some increased scrutiny on Facebook going forward. If Facebook was forced to break up, I couldn't really tell you what that would look like. In 2001, Microsoft actually lost an antitrust lawsuit, but the company still remained intact. Ultimately, the case was dropped, and there was a settlement agreement where Microsoft had to give developers access to their Internet Explorer API. So even when you lose these lawsuits, nothing seems to happen. But let's say there was new precedence here, and Facebook was carved up, what would happen to VR? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Well, maybe ByteDance is waiting on that, and now they're ready to just swoop in. Okay, that was the new VR news. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I will see you guys on next time.